The sun sparkled across the glassy surface of Pinewood Lake, casting golden rays over the wooden deck of my newly inherited lake house. I'd spent months wading through legal paperwork and the heavy fog of grief after losing my Uncle Thomas. That morning, as I stretched out on a creaky Adirondack chair, the gentle lapping of waves felt like a hard-earned reward. I closed my eyes, letting the serenity wash over me until a sharp, grating voice sliced through the calm. "Excuse me, just what do you think you're doing on my saw property?" I opened my eyes to see a woman in crisp khaki shorts and a navy polo shirt storming up my dock. Her blonde bob bounced with every furious step, her face pinched with outrage. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but this is my Lakehouse," I said, sitting up, trying to keep my tone even. "I inherited it from my Uncle Thomas." Her eyes narrowed to slits. "That's absurd. This property belongs to the Pinewood Lake Association, and I don't recall approving any new residents." She folded her arms, chin jutting out. "I'm Linda Hawthorne, VYC president of the HOA, and you need to pack up and leave now." I started to explain that I had all the paperwork, but she was already on her phone, her voice dripping with smug authority. "Yes, police. About an unauthorized trespasser at 423 Lakeside Drive. He's refusing to leave." She flashed me a triumphant smirk. "They'll be here soon to escort you out." Sure enough, 15 minutes later, a police cruiser crunched into the gravel driveway. Two officers approached as Linda rushed to meet them, pointing at me like I was some common criminal. "That's him, officers. He just showed up, claiming my Lakehouse is his. We've had squatter issues before." The older officer, a grizzled guy with a calm demeanor, turned to me. "Sir, do you have ID or proof of residency?" I nodded, grateful I'd unpack my documents first. "Right here," I said, handing over a folder. "My driver's license, the deed transfer, probate papers, and a letter from the county recorder confirming the title transfer last month." The officer skimmed the documents while Linda hovered, her confidence visibly cracking. "This has to be a mistake," she stammered. "That house has been empty for months. Thomas never mentioned any nephew." The officer handed my papers back. "Everything checks out, ma'am. This gentleman is the legal owner." He tipped his hat to me. "Sorry for the trouble, sir." As they walked away, Linda shot me a glare that could have melted steel. "This isn't over," she hissed. "The HOA has strict rules about property transfers. You'll hear from our board." I watched her stomp off, a knot forming in my gut. What had I just stepped into? This lake house was Uncle Thomas's pride and joy for over 30 years. When he passed away unexpectedly 6 months ago, I was floored to learn he'd left it to me fully paid off, clear deed, taxes up to date. Nestled in the Pinewood Lake community, a private enclave of about 50 homes around a pristine mountain lake, it was my fresh start. That first day of moving in had been peaceful. I'd spent the morning arranging furniture and unpacking boxes when I noticed a woman across the lake, glaring at my house through binoculars, her lips pursed in a tight frown. Later that afternoon, my neighbor Greg stopped by, helping me unload my truck. "So, you're Thomas's nephew," he said, hoisting a box. "Linda's had her eye on this place forever. Wanted it for her son's family. She was Lee VYD when Thomas wouldn't sell." I groaned. "Linda, the HOA lady who called the cops on me?" Greg grimaced. "Yup. She's been on the board for 12 years. Acts like she owns the lake. Most folks steer clear of her. She's relentless when she wants something." I muttered. "Guess I'm already on her radar." Greg clapped my shoulder. "Watch your back, man." The next morning, I found a note taped to my door. "Saw attention, resident. Your weekend occupancy VY OLAT's Pinewood Lake rental policies. All short-term stays must be approved by the HOA. Vacate by Sunday. 5 p.m. Saw was signed Linda Hawthorne, HOA Vice President Saw, with her number in bold." I called her immediately. "Ms. Hawthorne, this is the VYD, the owner of 423 Lakeside. I'm not renting. I live here now." Her voice was ice cold. "Our records show this property is seasonal only. Year-round occupancy requires board approval." I'd read the bylaws. "There's no such rule," I said. My uncle lived here full-time for a decade. She paused, then snapped, "We'll see about that," and hung up. The notes kept coming daily, each one citing some obscure violation: trash bins placed wrong, unapproved parking, noise during quiet hours. I checked with neighbors. None of these rules existed. Then my trash stopped being picked up. The waste company said the HOA had suspended my SARE VYC for violations. It took 3 calls and a copy of my deed to fix it. Next came the noise complaints. 3 times in 1 week, police showed up for disturbances when I was either reading or asleep. The officers started apologizing, clearly seeing the harassment pattern. Things hit a boiling point when I came back from the grocery store to find a locksmith at my door. Linda is standing beside him, arms crossed, smirking. "What's going on?" I demanded, clutching my grocery bags. The locksmith shifted uncomfortably. "This lady says she's the property manager and needs the locks changed due to an unauthorized occupant." Linda's smile was glacial. As I explained, this property is illegally occupied. The HOA is securing it until ownership is verified. I set down my bags and called the police. "Officer Daniels, it's the VYD at 423 Lakeside. Remember the harassment issues? She's trying to change my locks now." The locksmith, sensing trouble, bolted to his van. Linda didn't flinch. "The board meeting's tomorrow night," she said. "We'll settle this." At the Pinewood Lake HOA meeting, I arrived armed with my deed, title insurance, and tax receipts. About 20 homeowners filled the boathouse, some offering quiet nods of support. Linda swept in last, flanked by 2 board members, and launched into a theatrical speech. As many know, the Lakehouse at 423 is tied to my family's legacy. My grandparents helped build this community, and that lot was saw to us before Thomas bought it, through a misunderstanding. The room squirmed as she claimed I wasn't related to Thomas, and that transfers needed board approval. I stood calm but firm. "Em da viva de losan, Tobias' nephew. Here's the probated will, deed transfer, and my birth certificate VYing my relation. The bylaws only require notification of transfers, not approval." Linda's face turned crimson. "Those could be faked. That house was meant to be ours." Her words nagged at me. After the meeting, I dug through county records and found a bombshell. 2 years ago, Linda had tried to buy my lake house at a tax auction when Thomas fell behind on payments during his illness. He'd paid the taxes just in time, foiling her plan. I hired a real estate attorney who confirmed my ownership was airtight and VY said security cameras. I installed them that week. They paid off fast. One Saturday, my phone buzzed with alerts. Footage showed Linda marching to my door, clutching an official document. She pounded furiously as I opened the door, recording her. "Can I help you?" I asked. She thrust the paper at me, EVY tie-in notice in bold letters, clearly fake. "You have 24 hours to vacate, or the sheriff will drag you out," she barked. I kept my cool. "On what grounds?" Her voice rose to a shriek. "Fraudulent acquisition and HOA violations. The board voted to reclaim this property." I raised an eyebrow. "When was this vote?" She faltered. "Emergency session. Now, pack." I started closing the door. "I'll verify with my attorney." She jammed her foot in the door, screaming about trespassers and her rights. I called 911, eyes locked on hers. "I'm reporting harassment and attempted unlawful EVY tie-in at 423 Lakeside. She's trespassing and won't leave." 15 minutes later, Officer Daniels arrived. Linda was still on my porch, filming me, narrating violations. I showed the officers my footage, the fake notice, and prior incident records. Officer Daniels' face hardened. "Ms. Hawthorne, this document is fraudulent. It's not court-issued and has no legal weight." Linda sputtered. "It's an HOA EVY tie-in. We can remove VYO ladders." Daniels shook his head. "Only a judge can issue EVY tie-ins, and only the sheriff can enforce them. Creating fake legal documents and harassing someone is a crime." He pulled out handcuffs. "You're under arrest for criminal harassment, attempted fraudulent EVY tie-in, and filing false reports." Linda's face crumpled as they cuffed her. Neighbors peeked out, jaws dropped, as her shouts echoed across the lake. This isn't over. That house is Psalm mine saw. Linda's charges led to a plea deal, 18 months probation, a Duluth 5,000 fine, and a restraining order barring her from my property. The HOA board ousted her as VYC president for conduct unbecoming. At her final court hearing, her polished facade shattered. "This is an outrage," she screamed as the judge read her probation terms. "My family built this community. That house was supposed to be Psalm mine saw." Bailiffs escorted her out, her protests fading as the courtroom door slammed shut. Peace settled over my lake house, but Linda's obsession left a chill. Was she just a power-hungry bully, or did her family's legacy justify her crusade? What would you do if someone tried to steal your home with fake rules and dirty tricks? Should HOAs have the power to harass homeowners like this? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're team to VYD, and subscribe for more Wild Neighbor sagas. Let's hear it. What's the craziest HOA story you've got?